Five-star forward Anthony Thompson, a top 10 player in the class of 2026, picks Ohio State over Indiana, and the Hoosiers miss again.
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, and it is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen or your first watch every single day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. And this is a bonus episode of Locked On Hoosiers as we're talking about some breaking news as of just a couple of hours ago. On Tuesday, October 21st, the five-star forward Anthony Thompson, top 10 player in the class of 2026 out of the state of Ohio, he makes his decision, and it's not Indiana. He is going to be an Ohio State Buckeye. Anthony Thompson, 6'8", 205 pounds. He's ranked 7th in the class according to 247. He does, in fact, pick Ohio State over Indiana. Michigan was in there, Kentucky, Texas as well. But everybody in the business felt like it was down to Indiana and Ohio State, the Hoosiers and the Buckeyes. And Indiana misses on yet another recruit. And this has been the story for years now, right? This has been the issue in Bloomington for several head coaches and reasons why they've gotten fired. Yes, because they couldn't win games on the floor, but they also couldn't win battles in recruiting. And we thought that this was going to be different, right? We thought it was going to change with the hiring of Darian DeVries from West Virginia. And this is the one that I felt the most confident in. And that's why this one hurts more than any of the other misses. Sure, you missed out on Tay Kinney and Deron Rippey and some of those guys, right, that have gone to Kentucky and Louisville, and you lost out to a kid to Oklahoma State or places like that. I mean, it's just some of those you can just kind of move on from and be like, all right, well, you were in it, but, maybe you weren't the team to beat. Indiana was the team to beat in this race for five-star top 10 player Anthony Thompson, and he chooses the Ohio State Buckeyes. And some people may say, well, yeah, he's from Ohio. He's picking the hometown school, gets to play for the big brand in the state. And look, that's an Ohio State program that I think is on the rise with a new head coach. And I think they're going to be uber talented this year with a lot of their transfer portal additions from last year and this year. But there's not a world, at least up to this point, in high school basketball recruiting that any top 10 player should be choosing Ohio State over Indiana. But notice how I said up to this point, because now there's a difference. Now there's something that wasn't a thing years and years ago, at least legally, right? There's a new factor, there's a new wrinkle, there's a new edge that a team like Ohio State can bring to the table that Indiana can, but chose not to do. And you know what I'm talking about. We're talking about NIL money. We're talking about dollars spent on a player like Anthony Thompson. And I want to make this very clear. Indiana was willing to pay Anthony Thompson because you have to. You have to pay a guy like him if you want him to play for your school. But what Indiana was not going to do was pay over market price, above the market price, go way above and beyond. We're talking 2 and 3 times the going rate for a player like him to try and land him in the class of 2026. Darian DeVries in Indiana decided they weren't going to do that, and Ohio State was willing to do it. That's the difference here. So let's not get confused. The Hoosiers just got outbid here, and that might be a good thing. That might be okay. There's two different sides to this story, two different sides of the coin that I want to hit on in this bonus show today. But I do want to start with the idea that Indiana misses on another player. And it's a guy that I think Indiana was truly in the lead for until right here at the end, right here within the last 24, 48 hours of this commitment. I think Indiana would have been a better place for him. I think he would have been a better fit at Indiana. And I think he had a chance to be a superstar in Bloomington wearing the cream and crimson for Anthony Thompson. And I love his game. I think he's going to be a fantastic player no matter where he goes. But I really thought the system of IU with Darian DeVries was going to fit his game to perfection, but he's going to be playing in Columbus for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And Indiana has to move on. You have to move on from this, and one that I thought you were going to get, one that I was confident in, and I know that I've talked a ton right, about Indiana not swinging and missing on everybody. And that seems to be where we're headed right now. You still have several players to go after. You still have Ethan Taylor, right? One of the best centers in the country. You still have Erfan Diani, who's the #1 ranked center in the country, who was just on campus this past weekend. And you've got Carvalho, the 4-star who was on campus this past weekend as well. You still have those 3 players to go after and a chance to land 1, 2, or all of them. You won't get them all, but at least 1 or 2 of those guys to have something in the class of 2026 on top of Prince Alexander Moody, your 4-star guard. You still have a chance to make this a successful class, then use the transfer portal to your advantage come the spring of 2026. That's what Indiana's going to have to do here. But don't be fooled, or I guess don't miss this point. This hurts. This hurts. This one sucks to lose Anthony Thompson, because I think Indiana was in it the entire way. I think Indiana had a lead for the most part. I think Ohio State just came in and decided to up the ante and stroke the check and do whatever they had to do to get one of their biggest commits in the history of their program. I get it. I think it's kind of insane, but I get it. But it is another miss for Darian DeVries in Indiana, and I understand where the fan base is coming from here. But we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I'm going to explain why this could be a good or a bad miss because of where the industry is going and why Indiana's strategy seems to be a little bit different than those of an Ohio State or others. We'll talk about that coming up next here in this bonus episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Today's bonus episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Monarch. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401k, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Any of your investment accounts, whether it's a retirement or you have a savings or you're investing in some things, if you just want to make it easier, pull it all together and put it in one place thanks to Monarch. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. This bonus episode of Locked On Hoosiers also brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So NFL games on Thursday, World Series coming up as well, college football on Saturday, you name it, they got it. And FanDuel can make your sports games more exciting. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. This bonus episode of Locked On Hoosiers brought to you by Game Time. College football was back, and I could not be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time. It's the app that gives the advantage back to you, the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay, and that really is the truth. There are no hidden fees. There are no price jumps right before you hit checkout and secure your tickets. What you see is what you pay. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, welcome back into this bonus episode of Locked On Hoosiers. Thank you so much for being here. And if you are new here, make sure you hit subscribe to the channel. Or if you're a returning customer and haven't hit subscribe already, I would appreciate you doing that. We're a free show Monday through Friday talking all things Indiana athletics. A lot of football talk on the channel right now, getting back into the rhythm of basketball as well with recruiting and exhibitions. And, of course, the season opener coming up in just a couple of weeks. So make sure you hit subscribe so that way you get notified every time we post a new episode, especially these bonus episodes as well. Don't want you to miss those. And for all of our audio listeners, hit subscribe if that's a thing. Follow us if possible and turn on notifications so you never miss these types of episodes as well. Anthony Thompson, the 5-star forward, top 10 player in the 2026 class. He chooses Ohio State over Indiana. Those were the final two. Again, Michigan and Texas and Kentucky were kind of hanging around, but it was down to the Hoosiers and the Buckeyes. And there's no secret. This is professional sports now. This is not college basketball or college football or college baseball. We're talking semi-pro, if nothing else. These are pro athletes. These are organizations, and there's real money on the table. We don't secretly talk about the money that LeBron James makes with the Los Angeles Lakers or how much Shohei Ohtani is getting paid by the Dodgers and why this player chose to go for this organization rather than this one in free agency. We openly discuss the financials here with the contract, the incentives, the length, and all that sort of stuff. We need to start having those conversations with college athletes too and college athletics, because this is semi-pro, if not just straight up professional. And I'm going to tell you like it is. Anthony Thompson chose Ohio State because they paid him more money. And frankly, they overpaid for him. And they were doing and were willing to do whatever it took to get one of the best recruits in the history of their program. And good for them. This new era that we're in allows the Ohio States of the world in basketball to do just that. We're seeing it in some regards in football, right? With a big name quarterback. Bryce Underwood is a perfect example with Michigan. Not that they need help recruiting, but you can go pay somebody to change their mind. He was supposed to be what? LSU, is that right? And then he ended up going to Michigan because they stroked a check. They opened up the bank. They opened up the vault and said, here you go. That's what Ohio State just did with Anthony Thompson. And I understand there will be people that say, oh, that's a loser mentality. Cry more. Indiana misses again. You're just butthurt. You're just salty. Yes, I am upset. I am salty because I think Indiana is the better program. Like, Indiana has the brighter future. And I firmly believe that Anthony Thompson would have had a better college career, as short as it will be, in Bloomington and be better prepared for the NBA in Indiana. He chose Ohio State because they paid him more, and they're overpaying for him, folks. We're talking 7 figures and a lot of 7 figures here. Ohio State overpaid for him, and it worked. And by no means do I blame a kid who's 17, 18 years old to go make life-changing money for him and his family at that age to go play a year of college basketball. That's incredible that you're that talented and you're that wanted that a program's willing to do that. But Indiana was not. And that's the difference here. That's why I'm having this quick discussion of a good miss or a bad miss. I think Indiana's going to be fine here. Indiana's going to be okay. Whether you land somebody else in the class of 2026 or not, we're going to wait and see. I still feel confident that you will. But even if you don't, Indiana and Darian DeVries kind of set the narrative here. They kind of set the bar for themselves on what they're willing to do and not do. And maybe that hurts them in recruiting, or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But in this new era of college athletics that we're in, you have to budget. You have to write it all down, and you have to decide what you want to spend your money on and how much you want to spend on one particular player versus the money Anthony Thompson is making at Ohio State now. Indiana's going to be able to go and get 2, maybe 3 guys out of the portal next spring and build a legitimate contending roster for 26 and 27. That's the difference here. Is Anthony Thompson good? Yeah, he's great. He's a great player, but he's also going to be a freshman. Indiana decided we're not going to pay that type of money for a freshman. We're going to take that money and go get a couple of portal guys, and we're going to make a big-time roster out of it. That's the difference here. And so will it work out for Ohio State? Maybe, maybe not. Anthony Thompson, I'm not talking bust. I'm just talking, will the money be worth it? I don't know. We're going to find out what the ROI is on that. But the Hoosiers and Darian DeVries as a program and an organization said, we're not going to do that. We're going to set our boundaries. We're going to set our standards. If you want to come here and make good money, really good money, we'd love to have you. But if you want to go to Columbus and make ridiculous money, by all means go for it, but we're not going to pay it. And I respect that by Indiana. It's a bold strategy and one that we simply don't know the ramifications for, and we don't know what the payoff is going to be. But I'm going to trust Darian DeVries and his staff. I'm going to trust Scott Dolson and IU. I'm going to trust everybody in this thing that they're doing what they believe is best. And that's not overpaying for the 5-star Anthony Thompson. He picks Ohio State over Indiana. The Hoosiers miss on another big-time recruit, but more possibilities on the way, and we'll keep you updated as those come along. This is Locked On Hoosiers. Again, thank you so much for being here on this bonus episode. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Be sure you like the video and follow us on your audio platforms as well, okay? We are back tomorrow for a normal episode, plus check out today's football episode as well on Locked On Hoosiers. All right, Hoosier fans, until next time, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.